comment. You may have noticed that we're sort of hit or miss on working on your paper. And so allow me to say this, that I reserve the right to never work on that thing as a class again, and it's still something that you need to be done with. You know what to do. You don't need me to guide you anymore.
I need guidance.
But I hope we can, and that's my intention. But last day of class is on the 16th, and if we don't work on it again from here to the 16th, it's still due on the 16th. And that's fair for me to do that. Okay, having said that, let's turn again to racism. Okay, any of you ever heard of white privilege? Will you put the phone away, Ethan? What is white privilege? Or give me an example of white privilege. You might not even accept that it's real. There are plenty of people out there who say it doesn't exist. Go ahead.
Isn't it like you get away with something because you're white? Or like you get to do something because you're white, like you're in a better spot just because of your.
Can you give me a specific example of white privilege?
Like isn't it like a lot more of white people are born into a middle class, like upper middle class, than black people?
Very good. So economic reality. Anything to add?
I was just gonna say like how we were talking about I think the ACT questions yesterday. That kind of reminded me of like how if you look at communities where it's like a predominantly black population, like the schooling is usually not as like
Can't be worse.
it's
Very good. Yep. So very good, right? You're in a sucky school in an inner city, so you get a crappy education, so you don't get that good ACT score, so you don't get in that good college, and then you don't get that good job, and nobody's intending on this. It doesn't have to be intentional. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Go ahead.
So could it also be like what we talked about yesterday with like how white people names are more likely to get a job?
Very good. Right? Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Right? You're more likely to get a job if you're. Although, did you know this? So next time you are in a serious interview, go to the dollar store, buy a pair of glasses. You look more intelligent. Your answers sound more intelligent if at some point you take your glasses off and bite it. Like, the interview will be like, this person's lying about it. So buy a cheap pair of glasses. All right, very good. Kind of feeding off of what she just said. So statistics show this: a white man with a criminal record is more likely to get a job over a man of color with no criminal record. Statistics show this, right? Now, is this intentional? Well, maybe it is intentional, but maybe it isn't intentional. Right? Why? White privilege is when the people in power get to decide what is racist and what isn't racist. That's an example of white privilege. It's easy for those of us in the majority population to look at those in the minority. Why are you on your phone again? I think you have a problem. To look at those in the minority population and say, come on, get over it. Hey, slavery was like 1,000 years ago. You're not a slave. You are in just as good a position as I'm in. So get over it. Have you heard anything like that ever? I have. Okay. It's the same idea. All right. So deranged young girl here has something to say. Look at that hand. She's part Aquaman, I guess. All right. 82 to 90% of homicides are intraracial. Do you know what intraracial means as opposed to interracial? Go ahead.
Someone of one race killing someone of the same race.
Yes, that is intra, within the same race, right? So almost all homicides are white guy killing white guy or black killing black or whatever. Okay. However, that's not what you realize if you watch media. When you watch the news, it's the scary black guy killing the innocent white girl, right? 75% more likely that a black male killing a white female. It's race. It's interracial is reported 60% of the time, even though it's only like 10% of the total crimes. It's reported 60% of the time. And you and I are watching our TV, so we get fed this stuff that this is a reality. Good advice. Hey, are you losing the debate? Just call that person a racist. You win. Drop the mic, walk away. Right? I do it all the time at home.
Racist.
Right? What should we have for dinner? Pancakes. You're a racist. And I win. They say, you're right, Dad. What are we having for dinner? Rice. White rice. Delicious.
No seasoning, just white rice.
And tap water. That's what we leave out for Santa. White rice and tap water.
Probably gives you a cold.
You know, cookies really do a number on my digestive systems. So you're welcome, Santa. Okay, one more here and then we'll shut her down. Actually, two more. So there's two types of racism that I want to address really quickly. One is institutional racism and the other is individual racism. So institutional is racism by bureaucracies or institutions, schools. So for example, this one's really confusing. We'll attack this one later. So have any of you ever heard this complaint that, the black guy got into the school even though he got a score like a 15 on his ACT, and I didn't even get into that school, and I got a 22. It's because he's black and I'm white. It's racism, right? Any of you heard anything similar to that? I was sort of exaggerated here. Okay. Well, let's just look at this political cartoon. It's kind of interesting. She got in, but that's because her parents went to that school. He got in because his dad paid for the scoreboard, and so he got in. He got in because he could kick a round ball into a net. She got in because the school wants people from all 50 states. This is true. Wisconsin wants people from all 50 states. So the kid from Alaska will be accepted before the other kid from Wisconsin. Just so the University of Wisconsin-Madison can say people from all 50 states are here. All right. This kid gets in because he's black. And what does the fat, dopey white kid say? Well, what about her? What about him? What about him? What about her? Why is the entire focus on race-based admissions? Why isn't it focused on he got in because he can throw a ball far? That's why. Biggest advice I can give you, when you have a son, teach him to hike a ball to the punter. Full ride. Seriously, football coaches are struggling to find hikers for the punter. Right? Put the ball under, you put the ball over, and then all you do is you touch your knees. Teach them to do that, full ride. I tried with my kids, but just didn't want to. Okay. Institutional racism is racism, like, for example, during the Civil War, did you know that black soldiers were paid $10 a month? White soldiers were paid $15? That's institutional racism. No individual did that. It was just the behavior of the institution itself overall. That's institutional racism. As opposed to, apparently it didn't make a slide here, never mind. As opposed to individual racism. That's when you personally call somebody a name. Yeah, okay. The behavior of an individual, one person acting like a moron or whatever. It's different from institutional. The ACT would be an example of institutional racism. Nobody intended on black people getting it wrong or whatever. But it's just sort of, we're victims of the system. Right? Any questions? That's enough for today. Thank you. You can relax for 5 minutes.
No, I think what's wrong with the racism?
We'll talk about that Tuesday, I guess.
What's wrong with that? Just have more. I don't think we have enough.
Well, remember now, the functionalist says there's a good reason for fill in the blank. So the functionalist will say there's a good reason for racism.
Well, genetics is like you just like people who like you because they're part of your family.